Psychology Final Project by Catherine Fedor. When we got this assignment, I was trying to think of what would be interesting and appeal to me, and that would also relate to my life. So I thought back on it, and I've always been the shy kid. I wouldn't talk to strange adults and even family members. So I thought, is this just the way I was born, or did I develop this trait over time? From a young age, I've always been very reserved. I remember having my mother walking me out on the soccer field because I couldn't walk out there alone. I eventually quit soccer. So my research topic is introversion an inherited trait? So I did some research. I found a study by Jerome Kagan regarding high reactive versus low reactive infants. This said that infants that had a high reaction to stimulus at a young age would grow up to be introverts, and infants that had a low reaction to stimulus at a young age would grow up to be extroverts. This made sense to me. They were less unbalanced by the new stimuli, so they were more comfortable and grew up that way. Another article said, a genetic component also exists in personality characteristics such as introversion and extroversion, activity level, and predisposition to psychoses. Scientists have been able to determine that different mental behaviors are linked to our genes, as well as physical characteristics, which would also include introversion and extroversion. I also found a study about something called facultative calibration. This theory proposed that if a person received social cues as they were growing up that they were attractive, they would be more likely to develop an extroverted personality. I don't put much faith in this theory, but it's good to know the other potential reasons for why people develop different personalities. In this terrible drawing, this girl has been told that she's pretty by society, so she becomes an extrovert. I'm not so sure that that is the reason why people develop different personalities. But psychology is a very imprecise science, so that could be the case. We don't know for sure. It's good to have a general overview of the differences between introverts and extroverts before we start making analysis. An extrovert would thrive at the attention at a party, whereas an introvert would rather be at home with a book or just relaxing with one or two friends. They tend to get overwhelmed by the attention and are very uncomfortable in new situations. To test this hypothesis, I decided to interview children and their parents to see if there was a correlation between the personalities of the parents and of the children. I made a Google form to be filled out by participants, and these are the results. Pink is the percentage of introverts, orange is the percentage of extroverts, and green is those in between the two groups. So for the children, %60 were introverted, 10% were neutral, and 30% were extroverted. For the mothers, 70% were introverted, and 30% were neutral. There were no extroverted mothers. And for the fathers, 40% were introverted and 60% were extroverted. From this, the conclusion can be drawn that although the majority of fathers were extroverted and the majority of mothers were introverted, on average, the children inherited an even amount of both traits from their parents. Most participants readily accepted heredity as the explanation for their personality traits. They realized that they've had most of these traits since they were young children and that they've changed very little since they've grown older. Thank you to those of you who filled out my survey, and thanks for watching and dealing with my terrible drawing skills. Have a nice day.